Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. I'm sitting down in the sanctuary getting ready to broadcast episode 315. So, what's special about today is now we've got 50 left. Well, besides our guest, of course, but we've got 50 episodes left after today. There's about 33 slots still open. So, if you want to get on Every Damn Day, please sign up as soon as you can. And special kudos to you if you're from Antarctica, because that's the only continent we haven't had represented yet. So, one more quick thing. Madman Poetics, you guys all know his Qualifier album and all of that. Check out Morgan Madden for all kinds of spoken word stuff happening. So let's get to my guest here, Dr. Karen May. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jerry. I was just thinking about your Antarctica. Happen to know somebody who's from Tasmania whose brother works in Antarctica, so I might have that connection.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I'll try.
I hadn't really realized that we had done that until somebody asked me if Ann Arbor was okay, and I was thinking, we've done it all over the world. Of course Ann Arbor's okay. And then I started thinking about the continents and said,
Crazy.
Oh man, we should get this one.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'll try to help you.
All right, thank you. That would be extra kudos to you too then. Let's jump into the show, because you're a busy person. Well, I don't like the word busy. You have a lot on your plate and a lot to do, and you have an appointments that run your business. So let's make this happen. Yeah. So tell us about you. Where were you born and raised? Went to school?
I was born and raised in Petoskey, Michigan. I'm fortunate that I had two amazing parents who blue collar, worked their butts off, and so had a pretty sweet childhood. Didn't have a lot of money growing up, but had a lot of love, a lot of really cool experiences, and just a great community around it too. So I also, my parents did do some traveling and put that bug in me very early. And so I knew heading, I was 16 and traveled to Japan and got to spend my 16th birthday over there on an exchange. That was fun. But they instilled us to be better than what they were. And so I love disappearing into new communities. Went off to college, didn't know a soul. Went off to grad school, didn't know a soul. So I try to embrace myself and put myself in positions where I have to be uncomfortable to learn the culture and the community around me, but also let me shine through instead of preconceived notions.
So where was undergrad and grad?
Undergrad was Oakland University. Loved it. Didn't even know about it. And it wasn't on the radar. And when it finally came on the radar, I had some of my best years of my life there with friends and culture and working as a hall director and getting to know people. It was just amazing. And then graduate school happened at National University of Health Sciences in Lombard, Illinois. I was planning on being a physical therapist. I was an athlete, had been in therapy a lot, and realized there's value in manual medicine and that a pill can't fix it all. And then realized I didn't want to be a physical therapist. Not that it was bad, just wanted to go a different direction. But medicine wasn't it either. Medicine and medications have their place, but I didn't want people coming to me for that. I wanted a hands-on approach. I'm just super hands-on. So chiropractic medicine fit that for me, but I'm a why person. I want to know why things work, and I want to be able to touch it. And so I wanted internal medicine as well. So that school in Chicago at that time allowed me to be heavy in diagnostics, understand the full scope of the body, but get down to the why. What's wrong with it as a whole and not just an individual system, on top of then manual medicine and having tools in order to help people. So that was almost 18 years ago I graduated. Been a wild journey. And then I have to give a shout out to my husband. Yesterday was our 21st wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks. And a wild ride with 3 kids. And fast forward to my kids were in sports when they were little, and there was no sideline care. What happened if there was an injury besides a mom who hopped into, or a dad who hopped from the field who was a nurse or EMT? And so being an athlete myself, I decided to train to be a sports physician. So that was fun because I love sports and got to do some pretty cool things with that. And just when you're intentional, man, doors open.
Yeah.
And getting to know and opportunities came about that I was very thankful to have an opportunity to volunteer in Lake Placid, New York in 2014 with all the athletes out there, but particularly it was USA Bobsled and Skeleton, and they were having some push championships and helping them to determine their team at that time for the upcoming national team season that would travel, and got to know people and build relationships and just being intentional with the gifts that God has given me, and was afforded an opportunity to be one of their physicians when they were on some of their world tour. So that lent into traveling to Germany and Austria and France and working on the side of mountains and very humbly saying, yes, there was plenty of people there who had medals that hung around their necks at different Olympics that were just amazing individuals. And so the little bit of part that I got to play in helping them keep achieving and striving for that dream was remarkable. There's plenty of others that were doing it too. I just had different chunks and sections and loved the opportunity I got to serve others.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go backwards a little bit. First of all, I think that's awesome. I was a college athlete, a Big Ten wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
At University of Michigan. You ever help any wrestlers?
Locally, yes. So then after, not at the national level, like national team level, but locally, yes. I would do a ton of volunteering. Lansing Sexton, a big shout out to my Big Reds. Again, getting to know people, had an opportunity, now 11 years ago, to be one of their sideline doctors and volunteer and work with their football team. That when we almost won the state final, but we lost by 1 point. But having that opportunity, the tool happened to be chiropractic, but it was truly investing into young men and letting them know their community cares for them and is willing to volunteer to help them to get to the next level and show them that more than just their coaches care, other people do too. So I loved volunteering and being in the dirt on Friday night and the smell and the lights. I love it.
Did you ever meet my good friend Chris Henderson?
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
the athletic director now.
Yeah, we call him Hendo.
Yeah,
but yeah, well, he's a wrestling coach.
He was a little kid when I was. Well, we were little kids together, but he's a little younger than me.
He's awesome.
But, yeah, so Chris is awesome. I love him a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of those football players wrestled, right?
Yep.
So in that transition, or they ran track, and so I worked with it and had an opportunity to mentor a couple of the young women who have now gone on to graduate from college and ran college scholarships and are working on master's degrees. So I learned way more and got so much more from the people I was with than I really think that I invested into them. Using my hands and my adjusting, man, that was a priceless experience. I wish I could still do it today. I can't physically. I lost the use of my arm a few years ago after I had an injury that I could no longer manage, and finally had to do something about it. And it was May 5th of 2017, and I woke up from a surgery, uncomplicated, no issues from the surgery, and I lost the use of my right and dominant arm. Gone. And essentially through lots of different testing and testing of doctors upon doctors, I had a rare 1 in 100,000 chance surgical complication, and I lost the use of my right and dominant arm, and we learned that my diaphragm had issues and the right side of my face. And oh man, when I'm used to using my arm, that's my entrance, right? To get in is I can do this for you, and it opens the doors. All of a sudden that was gone. So that was a huge transition away from what I thought was my gift.
Yeah. Are you still limited with your right arm?
Yeah. So that's kind of, thankfully, no, but it's not out of a hell of a lot of hard work and figuring it out. going to U of M and talking with doctors at Mayo Clinic, doctors here locally, neurologists kind of all around the state, other doctors in the country, talking with friends in Germany and Russia. I was told it's called Parsonage-Turner syndrome. My body didn't like something during surgery, and it ate and destroyed the nerves. 1 in 100,000 chance. I mean, I couldn't have drawn that one out of the hat. And my doctors all told me there's nothing that could be done, to hang in there and give it 3 years, and maybe I'd be able to hold a piece of paper and shake somebody's hand again. Business owner, mom of 3 kids, and my husband works in our business. He's my office manager, and we're about to go bankrupt. So I can fast forward and I can look back and say, yes, I have the use of my arm, but it was 1, through the grace of God, and 2, through a lot of stick-to-itiveness that I had to figure it out for myself. So actually, that's what my business transitioned into, is helping people like me who have pain and numbness. And for me, it was fine motor skills, movement. Other people, it's loss of balance. There's 25 million people that have neuropathy and are told the same thing: take these drugs, do this PT, which I'm okay with both of them for a quality of life, though, but it doesn't restore nerves, it doesn't restore quality of life, and it leaves people desperate and hopeless and fearful. So I was able to transition my business as I was also healing myself, and now get to work with people and have a whole business around a boot camp approach of really looking at them as a whole person and meeting them where they're at. So when someone like today, getting an opportunity to sit down and meet with a gentleman who's done the gamut of doctors, tried the medications, and his feet burn terribly. But what that means to him is that he can't walk like he wants to and be stable for his job. And then when he comes home at night, his personality, because he's in so much pain, he's short-tempered. He couldn't go on vacation with his kids and hike like he wanted to. So that's what neuropathy does to people. Mm-hmm. It's amputations, right?
Yeah. I told you I've always had trouble pronouncing that word. I didn't really even know that word. I probably heard it before, but I started working with a gentleman named Peter Reeves he was at MSU at first, but now he's at a company called Sumac Life. And he works on balance for people. And neuropathy is a big cause for losing your balance, which then leads to a lot of other horrible things. Like if you have a few falls in a year, your probability of dying soon. Yeah,
it goes right up. Yeah, and balance is. I have lots of so you can tell I love educating people. Doctor means teacher, right? And so I actually have what's called Everything Neuropathy. It's on our main YouTube channel. Every other week, I will drop knowledge nuggets. Some of them are 10 minutes, some of them are 30 minutes, and really going on. What I think it's just diabetes. And it's not just diabetes. There's over 100 different causes. And so it's helping. But truly what it comes down to is, what can't you do in life because of the neuropathy? And what's the possibility of being able to restore that and get some function back? And is it realistic? And so that's what we do. We're able to partner with people to make that happen. It's really cool.
So I shared the link to your YouTube channel.
Sweet.
I think I did. Yes. And put that up there, but you can find it on YouTube there.
Yeah. And I talk about so much stuff on there, but it's all usually neuropathy focused. But don't forget, it's not just about treating neuropathy. It's looking at you as a whole person. Yeah. If you don't have health on the inside, you can't expect nerves to even think about healing. So food as medicine is huge in my world, and it has been since 2001 when I really started to learn the concept of it. And didn't realize it when we weren't eating boxed as a kid, one, because we couldn't afford it, but that we were eating out of a garden, how much better it was for us.
Do you follow me on TikTok or something?
No, I do not. I'm not on TikTok. I can't do it.
My wife and I posted a video yesterday where we harvested borage, and it helps with depression and all kinds of different things. And food as medicine was one of the hashtags we really needed to use.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's what I hate the word diet. I think it's terrible because you take the T off of diet, and what does it spell? Die, right?
Yeah.
But I want nutrition. I want people to learn how food heals and repairs, because you got an option. You either eat food that's going to break you down and make you more sick and break it, like not healthy, and or you foods can repair you. And when we as a society, US alone, consume 80% of the world's opioid drugs that are manufactured, we got a problem.
So I
US
don't.
alone.
Well, I was going to give you a lot of kudos for that because I don't know if you know my story, but I lost a daughter to an overdose.
Yeah.
And so food as medicine is super important to me, but everything else you're saying, the holistic approach, because this, we call the hospital across the street the healthcare system, but I call it the medical delivery system. They deliver drugs, they deliver the medical stuff, but there's a whole lot of other things that are healthcare. Healthcare starts in rooms like that I'm in right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And thing is healthcare is not just physical, it's mental, it's spiritual. There is so much that goes into someone and being a whole person. And so, yeah, I used to get to work with amazing athletes who were Olympians, and it was great helping them. But what we get to do now is generational change. So when I have grandparents who are now able to play with their grandkids again, and they're not having the crappy food in the house, now the grandkids love coming over because they want the berries and the vegetables and things like that. That's generational change. And when someone doesn't need an amputation just because they start to eat better and better blood flow is getting there by what they're putting in their mouth, it's amazing, because that they're able to provide for their family again and go work again and not need disability. It starts with you. And are you willing to draw the line in the sand and say enough is enough, and I don't want that medical delivery? And am I willing to invest my time, my effort, my resources, and even financially at times to do the right things, even if it's hard?
I love it. I'm so happy that there are people like you doing this.
I fight. I fight.
Dawn's asking. Dawn's a great friend of ours. Ellie's
Hi,
Place.
Yeah.
Which books, websites, podcasts do you recommend for people who are trying to eat the best health, or for best health?
So, shameless plug, take a look at mine. I have a whole YouTube on using food as medicine that people have used across the country, literally writing stuff down for free. You can do it. You can see a difference. I try to give as much stuff away from free so that people can do it on their own. People who inspire me, because that's really what it comes down to, is I do like Mark Hyman. He just happens to be out there a lot, but he has a lot of great information that's simple and realistic. So Mark Hyman would be one, and I think his podcast is called The Pharmacy, but with an F, not PH. So that would be one of them, Don. And then I also like David Perlmutter. He's a neurologist out of Florida who has written many books on grain brain and just, again, gut health and really looking at that. The word is functional medicine, and that's kind of a buzzword, but these are people who've invested. These are doctors who the medical delivery model that they knew didn't work. And so for them or their family members, so they had to learn a different way. And so they're hopping out there. And though I've always known food as medicine, I wouldn't be working with people who have neuropathy if I didn't have it myself and had to figure it out, right?
Yes.
So it's always born out of some sort of pain. But man, I tell people it takes work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it is worth it. And it gets you there more effectively, I think, because you can put you can dull the pain with medicine, but it's still the pain. And now what are you doing to the rest of yourself because you don't have that signal coming back at you?
Correct. And you're going to max out. You're going to get to the point where you max out. We've had people sitting in our office. They've maxed out on Lyrica, gabapentin, amitriptyline. They have maxed out on every medication that they can have. Doctors won't give them opioids because of addiction. I mean, it is amazing. And then the doctors are like, And now we're concerned for those people, because now mental health, right?
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately there's still a stigma out there. So I keep talking with people about the mental aspect of pain and what it can do. And so you got to address it in multiple facets in order to get the relief.
Yeah. I think being a wrestler, I was lucky because you don't really have some of these choices of
Right.
you can't take these pills and still go out there and wrestle and
Right.
think, one, you're going to be groggy and all of that, but
Yeah.
also you can't afford to get your knee twisted more when it's already in pain, you know?
Well, and you also have WADA and USADA. Those are drug testing, and if there's certain things that are banned at different levels, and so you can't. So even some natural stuff. So don't get me wrong, right? There's some natural stuff that people have gotten in trouble with too, but I don't know anyone who's gotten in trouble from eating broccoli, or
Right.
or eating out of a garden. So it's using it appropriately. And I'm not opposed to meds, right? Because I think there's a place and a purpose. But if it's our only avenue, I always tell you, you want to use the smallest tool you got in your box first before you pull out the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And the smallest one is the simplest one, and it's our hands and what we put in our mouth.
Yeah, I like it.
I want to address something, though, because people tell me that eating healthy is too expensive. I challenge that. I challenge that big time, because I shop at Meijer, I shop at Aldi, I shop at Walmart, I shop in my backyard and my neighbor's garden and the local. I live in Charlotte, and there's farmers markets that we have available to us. There's some community gardens that have abundance tables, churches, food pantries.
The Fledge.
Yeah, so the Fledge has, I saw your big box, your free box, and I saw oranges in there, and I saw all of that, right? It's a matter of, if you doing what you've done so far has gotten you to where you're at and you don't like it, but doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And so you have to make the choice to make a change. Yeah. And when people tell me I don't like vegetables, and I ask them which one, and they tell me vegetables, I'm like, doesn't fly. You gotta put effort into it.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to go another little route too, is that the total cost of your health also goes down. So yeah, maybe if you spent a dime more on an organic tomato or whatever than a can of tomatoes, that's still going to be less than the $10 or $50 copay for whatever heart medicine.
I could keep going. Yes.
Sure this is how these shows get long. It's because I start talking like that.
No, and that's the thing is it's what's unfortunate is that we do fall into, if insurance doesn't pay for it, I can't do it. But what insurance pays for, and I'm thankful for insurance for catastrophic. We had a $10,000 deductible. It was literally catastrophic insurance, and it was a hard hit because I didn't think we were going to meet that deductible, and we almost went bankrupt because I couldn't work. Right. So don't think doctor behind my name means that I'm sitting in a mansion somewhere with lake houses. I didn't know how to put food on my own table for my kids, let alone pay for employees, and about lost everything.
You keep coming back to the questions I was going to ask you earlier when I wanted to backtrack, because I also wanted to say that about Petoskey. Yeah. You go up the main road of Petoskey by the beach there, houses. And these big, huge houses, and people forget that there is rural poverty up there. There is a lot of the same things that we might experience in our neighborhood.
They have housing shortages up there. They have transportation issues. If you want to live out, I was just talking with my parents about this. If you want to live out to find something, then there's not transportation to get to the jobs in Petoskey. So there is rural. I know that there's urban issues too, but there is rural issues for certain. And my parents, they provided wonderfully for us. But my dad, he was a fireman and a policeman. It wasn't hundreds of thousands of dollars, and my mom was a high school cook, and we did fine, right? But we did not have everything that when you look at Petoskey. But what we did get to enjoy is the view and the sunsets, and those are still amazing and free.
I have a good friend named Sandy Ritter, and I'm drawing a blank on her maiden name, but I think her grandfather was a police officer up there.
Oh, I'd love to know the connection.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, if she's watching, she'll throw it in there. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I derailed you. I'm making the show longer.
We're okay.
But this is very okay. But I did feel like I interrupted something you were going to say important, but
Oh.
it just, the way you keep coming back to those things was making me.
Yeah, so it's interesting because insurance, I was talking about insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance is willing to pay $100,000 for an open heart surgery at minimum,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not willing to invest into you to prevent you from needing an open heart surgery.
Right.
And I know that there's some different, and please, I will probably get some stuff from different insurance companies. Well, we pay for silver sneakers. We do those things. Yeah, those are all great. And those are, I thank God that there are pieces like that. But if you expect the insurance company to dictate your health just because they only pay this, you're missing the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And so even like an amputation, so we work in this world of people who are needing amputations, just to amputate from the knee down is over $40,000. And that does not include the hospital charge. That does not include the PT afterwards, the drugs, the wrappings, and the nursing home care and all of that type of stuff. So yeah, when you invest $25 to buy frozen vegetables and salmon and good foods, that's a pretty cheap investment into your health. That's a pretty cheap insurance.
Yeah, I do want to. You keep saying stuff about like amputations and things like that.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out. I never knew this term until just recently, but Disability Pride Month is this year or this month.
Yeah.
So let's give a shout out to that real quick.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking of the different people I've come into play with. Within like having the opportunity to hear their journey. Just because you lose a body part or can't use something, there's also adaptive sports. Going back to my sports stuff, I always tell people you have to make yourself functional within the confines of your physicality. And so yeah, you can sit and wallow in it for a while, but if it's what you got, my attitude is you gotta then use what you got and find other ways. And so yeah, it's being adaptive and using what you got. Absolutely.
I was watching the guys play hockey that had lost the use of their legs, and man, that was amazing to me.
Like the sled hockey?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Talk about athletes. Honestly, I think the Paralympians are more fascinating to watch because of what they've overcome. I think of one guy in this area that I know. He didn't make the team, but his name is Justin Kane, and he's a business owner, entrepreneur. He'd be cool to be on here. I'll have to tell him to hop on. But Justin had some brain issues and massive adaptability issues throughout his body, and he was one of the top in the country at the Paralympic trials. So yeah, you have different abilities, use them.
Justin and I are friends.
Oh, okay, you know Justin.
Yeah, he's been asked several times. I think if the superstition I have is if we say his name 3 times during the show, he has to sign up then. So
Justin Kane.
Thank you. So again, I derailed you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you a question. We didn't talk about it. It's not political in my perspective, but Medicaid for all. Are you a fan or?
I think it's tough because again, when we're looking at Medicaid, I think that there should be a basic level of something. How it happens, I have no idea, right? And that's where some of the political stuff comes in. But I think if we still just rely upon that, we're still going to struggle with health because they can only do so much. And so you still have to be willing to do something more than what the basic level of medical, what did you call it? Medical delivery?
Yeah. You
have to go above and beyond the medical delivery system, whatever it looks like for you and whatever is provided. And if you just stick with there, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle.
You're a systems thinker, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you think, all right, that's one leg of the stool.
It is.
But you still need exercise and you still need to change these habits and we still need to get rid of these food deserts that only have pop and potato chips for lunch.
And yes, I'm going to shout out to my dad, Art Shaw, because we talk about this for years about food deserts and how do you solve food deserts and what can you do? And I also want to, there's one of my dearest doctor friends. She's a medical doctor in Battle Creek. Her name is Ramona Wallace. She'd be a great one to have on here too, because she has worked in Muskegon Heights and put together different programs and protocols utilizing gardens. And she works in the underprivileged or marginalized populations, trying to prescribe toothbrushes and mattresses and tennis shoes and walks on the beach. And people don't want that. They're looking at a medication from her. And so she was doing so much within the childhood obesity that literally taking them and making a child walk for an hour a day for exercise, play, supervised if it's necessary in the area and the age, just that alone. And one of the research articles coming out was healthier processed foods, not even whole foods like we're talking about, had such a reduction on type 2 diabetes in children and obesity by just looking at the ingredients on the label, still processed. So if we can work at getting these younger kids, then we're not going to see the older issues. So yeah. There you go. That's a whole other rabbit trail.
I mean, those chickens outside that we have here are part of our outreach for that. Yes. Getting, I ate borage for the first borage. Yep. I don't know which borage.
Borage
for the first time yesterday. Yeah. I had never eaten it before. I had never even heard of it until we planted it this year.
Yeah.
But trying to get kids to try these different vegetables. See, we used to trick them when we first moved in. We'd give them pop and chips and computers and let them play whatever games that they wanted. Mm-hmm. And then the pop went away and it was only water. And then the chips went away and it was only whole foods.
Yeah.
And then the computers, the trick there was you had to go to coding club on Saturday. So you use the computer all week for whatever you want, but you're going to learn how to code on Saturdays.
Okay, so you know what I call that? That's called progression, not perfection. and you have to meet people where they're at. Yeah. And because there is no way that I am going to take someone sitting in front of me who is used to 6 20-ounce classic Cokes a day and a pint of ice cream a day and get them to only eat vegetables. Not at all, right? So when we work with them on nutrition I use the word anti-inflammatory. This is not a diet. It doesn't mean it's paleo, keto, any of that. We're talking about food you can buy at a grocery store. You can eat out doing this. You can go on vacation. But I want people to have an awareness of what they put on their plate. What does it do to their body? And you slowly make the transition over. Progression, not perfection. Same concept.
We call it harm reduction.
Yeah.
But I like your phrase too. I've never heard your phrase.
Well, and I've never heard yours, so I'm going to take that one too.
Seems like we might have a mutual friend.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah. So
you, sir.
He's watching, and I was rushing through my intro, and I always give a shout out to thecnt.com because he summarizes some of these shows and all that. So
I love his family.
Good to see you.
Yeah, Joe and his wife were and boys were longtime chiropractic patients of mine. Totally going back again. I don't have full use of my arm strength wise, so I can't go back to the level of care. There are plenty of other amazing chiropractors in the area that I refer to. Mm-hmm. So I just know my gifting is working with people who have neuropathy and are willing to draw the line and do something different. So, but Joe, give Nikki a hug for me.
I'm sure he will.
Mm-hmm.
So we have your website. You have you shared something else with me. What was that?
We have a webinar coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So we have a webinar coming up on the 27th, and it's free. So what we realized is that some people knew what neuropathy was. Plenty of people were searching it, but nobody knew what we did. And it's a different concept. And going up against the medical delivery model, we needed to educate people. So this webinar literally is 20 minutes of understanding a little bit more of my journey, a little more in depth of what got me to where I was at, looking at the medical delivery model and how it falls short and helping people really achieve health and recovery and sometimes reversal of their neuropathy. And then it talks about our 4-step recovery process and relief process. And so it gives them an idea of what it is. And then after that, if you're interested, they just schedule a call with my team to see what the next step is and if it's right for them. Many times it's just free. We direct you some free resources, very poignant, and get you to do stuff for yourself. Other people, it makes sense to come into and work with my clinical team and evaluate you and see where you're at and see what options you have. But we don't take everyone. And we can't for multiple reasons. One is their neuropathy is too severe and advanced, and so we can make recommendations, but they may not see substantial results with their effort, and that's important to me. The other thing is we won't take them is if they're not willing to put the effort in. I tell people we want you to see substantial results with your effort. I did it. And I didn't have someone holding my hand, but we do have that accountability. And that's what we built that boot camp around. But being realistic is neuropathy is not going away in 2 weeks, 3 months. I just tell people tortoise in the hare. You got to be the tortoise. Slow, steady, methodical wins this race. But you don't have to be perfect. But everyone's different. So that's the reason why we have to know where you're at, evaluate you. And the cool thing is I know that this shows around the country is in 2019, I saw the need to be able to help and coach people in different communities outside of Lansing. Mm-hmm. So the testing I did, I went back to the research and then did beta testing and made the testing kit available that we can ship it to people, train their support person or their spouse to do it while my team grades it to give them an accurate test based upon the research. So no one ever has to even step foot in our office. So we've worked with people in France, in South Africa. We've been able to coach people in different states as well that have been diagnosed with neuropathy. So no barrier for distance. And then COVID made that super easy.
Well, I was going to say, did you feel super smart and really resilient and prepared?
Let me tell you. So our goal was that we were going to ship 50 of these test kits. That was our goal for 2020. And obviously we blew that sucker out of the window. So I thanked God that he gave me enough insight that the only thing we had to figure out then was the Zoom and piece of it. And then people got so much smarter with that and more available to that. I am so thankful that we're able to do that and still have an intimate relationship with people and know what their motivation is and help guide them and hold them accountable.
Did you ever get Zoom bombed?
Thank God, no.
We did all the time in the beginning.
Well, that's because you guys are cool. I'm not cool enough to. That's why.
You are cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. I will admire you for always for taking, getting one less opioid off the street would be just one less pill.
Well, and like I explained to people, it's not part of my scope of practice. I don't put people on meds. I don't take them off, but we want them to be able to have a conversation confidently with their prescribing physician to say, I don't need as much. Help me to get off. Yeah. Because it's not just opioids. And I know that that's a huge epidemic, and unfortunately with your daughter. But what also is we have all of these chronic diseases, heart disease, blood pressure, diabetes, that if you don't do anything differently, we're thankful for medications because they maintain you, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're willing to work at it, every major chronic disease is inflammation. 70% of what you put into your mouth is what controls your health. Right? Or excuse me, I said that wrong. 100% of your health, 70% is what you put into your mouth. That's a huge percentage. So if we can help you to understand free resources, I think, like I said, on my YouTube page and webpage, but if you can learn that means you may need less diabetes medications. You may need less cholesterol meds. That means less side effects. That means the ability to feel your body and know when something's wrong instead of just covering it up and things getting worse. So you need an opioid. Yeah. Right. So using the tools and the resources of what's in front of you is amazing what it can do to heal and repair you. I tell people, give it a week. If you follow my Food is Medicine video, give it a week and you're going to feel different. Yeah. And I'll talk to you about poop, because digestion, you should be pooping at least twice a day. It should be soft, about log, brown, 6-8 inches. That's true health. And if you're mushy, if you're constipated, that's an indicator your health is not good, because that's where you absorb the nutrients. And so that is another thing, is digestion is huge. And when you use food as medicine, makes a huge difference.
I'm going back through all the shows. Have we talked about poop before? I bet we have, but I just can't remember it.
I always talk about it because it's such a measure of health, and everyone poops.
Everyone poops.
And if you don't, you should be.
Yeah. Well, Kim Jong-un doesn't poop in Korea because he's such a physical specimen. He is 100% efficient.
Okay.
And that I thought was just a comedy, that the interview that they said that, but I just saw a documentary about him, and they really published that.
No.
That was really a thing that his propaganda machine put out.
Oh, man. Talk about marginalized people.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think it's pretty clear what your mission is?
Oh
no, I got to go back to one other thing.
Yeah.
One pill. You can interact with itself, or it can interact with nothing. 2 pills, you've got both the pills interacting. They can interact with themselves and the other. So you're at 3. You add another pill. It's got all 3 of them. The 2. This is a combinatoric. It's
I'm not that smart. It's exponential.
Yeah, it is exponential. It is. I can't believe I just forgot that word. I use this word every day. But the relationships go up.
Yeah.
When you're at 10, it's 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times, and this is a million different interactions. There's no database that can keep track of all of this.
None.
They can't tell you that this interacts with this, especially if you got 6 things going on. And Factorial is what it's called.
There we go.
And I don't think people realize that.
You know what I tell people is, you cannot be frustrated that your doctors are telling you to use medications. Why? Because it's what their training is. They don't get nutrition. They get how to use pharmaceuticals. They get how to put a fire out. They get that type of training. And I am 100% thankful that if I were in a car accident, that I have a medical delivery system who can impact me and help me to get through that. Right. Yeah. So this is not me against medical delivery model. I think there's a place and purpose for all of it. But it's when that's what we settle for the chronic stuff. Right? The acute stuff they're amazing at. It's the chronic stuff that, like you said, it's factorial, exponential. When I'm sitting in front of people who are taking 14 medications a day, 2 to 3 times a day, and I'm asking them, what are you taking this for? I don't know. Why are you not asking why?
It's almost like the pills that people get prescribed are like the subscriptions you sign up for on your iPhone, and you forget why you even got it, and you still pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And but that's what I tell people too, when they're like, well, should I stop everything? First of all, I cannot tell you to start or stop any medication, but you should be having a conversation with your doctor. And if you're not willing to change anything in your life, then they are helping you. At what level? Who knows? Are they hurting you? Sure, because there's always side effects and there's unintended consequences. So I always tell people, your pharmacists are your smartest ones who understand interactions and side effects. And if you literally take the sheets that you get in your prescriptions, again, some of them are life-saving for people, but highlight all of the side effects that you may be having and look at what you're doing, and take that to your doctor and have a conversation and saying, okay, I'm having all of these and it's in these medications. What can we do? Push your doctors to have a conversation to help you as a person, not as a number. Doctors don't get into medicine to just to be pushed in a system, but unfortunately, insurance and ownership or management dictate time, and so even good doctors get squelched. And so it's the ones that are the outliers and push, they get overwhelmed then too, because then they're expending so much energy trying to help. It's a bad, broken system.
Yeah. I would be I gotta put this comment on the screen just to get it out there. So I think you and Jen work together?
Yeah, Jen has worked for me for 3 years, and it always comes back to poop. It does, and because it's digestion. And again, if you don't know what your poop should look like, and you think that going 2 to 3 days without pooping is normal, that may be your normal, but that's not healthy. And you're always achieving and striving to become healthy. And what does health mean for you? You can start by getting your poop on track.
Yeah. Well, like if it's dark, I think it's a sign that there might be blood in it.
Yep. So
there's
if you're seeing bright red blood, if it's pitch black, that's not good either. And that is what it needs to be. There's so much that are telling within our body functions, within our urine too. What color, odor, consistency, what's in it. Our excretions, even in our sweat and our hair, that's not colored, can tell us so much about our body and how they're functioning instead of just one blood test in one immediate moment in time. Body functions can tell us a lot.
But black licorice will turn your poop green, so don't get freaked out about it if that happens.
Eating Blue Moon ice cream will turn your kids bright fluorescent, and so that talk about artificial crap, right? What it does and what it changes. God, I think they took it off. One of my favorite videos was digesting ramen noodles and blue Gatorade. And they literally had one of those pill cameras, and then they watched it and timed it to see what would happen. And the amount of chemicals in those that didn't break down over a period of time versus just some standard noodles. And I forget what juice they used that didn't have any artificial anything, and how it broke down and processed. Those things are always fascinating to me. That if you eat food-like substances, you're going to be one.
So I think this is going to definitely be the first show that has the hashtag poop associated with it, though.
Yes.
All right.
I'll take it.
And Joe did get a little out of order there. I don't think he was talking about poop, but he tells people about pills all the time.
Yeah.
They take everything without question.
Yeah. You're your own advocate. And is everything going to be great on Dr. Google and Dr. Yahoo? No, but you can have a conversation. You have to be your own advocate, and don't quit being your own advocate. So find providers that align with you and what your goals are, and be ready to switch and be willing to wait. It's just going to take some time.
And some of the populations that we work with, though, or be an advocate for somebody in your family.
Correct.
Too, right?
100%. I think of when I first started out, I had the ability to rent from Barry Saltman, and Barry started Carefree Medical. So we're talking when I opened my own office, it was like 2007. And so Barry was so gracious to rent me space, but I got to see the people coming in and help him with some complicated cases who just needed a little hand up and some education. And so we have Crystal Ray, we have Carefree, we have some pretty amazing programs in our area for people to take advantage of. Pretty amazing.
What's something you do every damn day to push this mission forward?
Talk about poop? No. For me personally, is understanding the weight and the scope of my mission in this world. And if I do not get up and talk about health every single day to somebody and get them excited about it, I'm missing my boat. It's what I'm supposed to do. So personally, what I need to do, I get up every morning, I step outside. I don't care what the temperature is. Mosquitoes kind of derailed me a couple days. And I say the Lord's Prayer because I don't have this life figured out. And I ask for guidance on how to be humble and help the ones that God has called me to serve. So that's what I do every damn day.
Nice. I love that you lead with education and not figure out how many pills I can prescribe today and optimize my profit.
God, I just, I'm a business owner. I don't take it lightly. I don't have just 4 employees. I have 18 mouths that we're feeding and 4 mortgages and well over a dozen fur babies. And as a business owner, I don't take that lightly whatsoever. So I do need to make money to be able to do it. But that's the reason why I have, for so many years, given away so much free content for people who are motivated. But people have to be willing to do it.
Yeah. We daisy chain the shows together. Yesterday we had a different badass woman. I'm calling you a badass right now,
Thank you.
Ariana Gibbs. And her question to you is, what are you doing to make the world a better place for women in particular?
So one of the things is, honestly, everyone in my company except for my husband is a female. So I don't purposely just hire females, but it's investing into young females who are 20 somethings to help them understand their health and their nutrition and their bodies, and so it can impact their families. In a larger scale, it's education. Always education and understanding. I was never taught growing up that there was a glass ceiling. I was taught, hey, figure it out. It may not be comfortable, but figure it out. But one of the other things is I have two daughters. I have a son and two daughters, and making certain that my daughters know that they don't have to be somebody's everything, that they can be their everything, and make certain that they're healthy, and then they'll shine brighter too. So I keep sharing that with the girls that I mentor, the young women that I mentor, and then also I met a lot of visionary groups, CEO groups. That's how you and I know each other. Of looking at other strong women and realizing it's okay to say, I'm going to rest.
Yeah. My 21-year-old recent college graduate daughter is going off to Los Angeles tomorrow morning. She's going to work for Cedars-Sinai.
Oh my.
So, yeah.
That's a big system. And so I'll be praying for her, but two, that she can carve her way and shine her light in a system that's pretty big, so that she has impact every day with those that she interacts with.
Yeah, her degree's in genetics. So.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love to geek out on that type of stuff because I'm fascinated. Fascinated.
That's the badass I was talking about.
Yay, badass. I'd love to meet you.
And you two. I actually asked her, if she knew you, because I thought you guys might have crossed paths somewhere.
I'd love it.
And Joe wants to make sure that you're in a shining example column. So
yes,
we'll
Joe.
all make that happen.
Yes, I would love it. I would love it.
Tomorrow on the show, I've got two gentlemen from Detroit. TheGridDetroit.com is their business. What question would you like me to pass to them?
So I'm excited for this question. Gentlemen, what are you growing in your garden that can nourish others in your community? My challenge to you, it's not necessarily just a vegetable.
And I'm going to turn that on you. What is it that you would say?
For me, what I'm growing in my garden is love and kindness. And I do that one person at a time and one educational bit at a time to show somebody that there is hope and to not give up into them. But then I also grow a garden, and we've had friends staying with us. We have 5 adults and an 18-month-old that are in for volleyball camps that my husband helps run. And I have an 18-month-old, and every day he walks out with me to the garden and we search for cucumbers. And he is down there and he is eating that cucumber and eating onion tops right off and eating parsley. And so it's just that time investment. So it's not the vegetables, it is, but it's the time investing into that young man to let him know the love and the kindness of the village around him.
Yeah. When I think of my garden directly, I would have answered that question. We grow resilience.
Amen to that one. I love that answer.
And there's another answer, but I don't want to bias the next question. Happiness, sadness, joy, hope, and or love. Which word would you like to talk about, or words?
Hope.
So I examined this. I'm going to ask you a direct question. Do you think it is possible for a human being to have zero hope if they have one more breath left?
I think it's possible. Are you looking for black and white or all shades of gray?
All shades of gray.
I think it's possible to have hope if you do have one last breath, but it's quieting your mind enough to know how to use it.
Nice. Very good.
I remember sitting with my own neuropathy in the dark of the night. It's always worse at night, and house is quiet and still. My husband can't help in any appreciable way with what I'm feeling internally. And I remember feeling like if that I would be better if I wasn't here. That's hard to say out loud because I don't usually share that. And in praying, because I'm thinking I was the provider for our family, my husband too, because of our business, but it was built around my arm and my brain. And I remember thinking I can't be a cashier. I can't cook, which is something I love to do. I couldn't type to go work someplace. There was so much that I couldn't do. And in a very small, still voice in the quiet of the night, God said, but I gave you a brain, and being a doctor, you're going to use it. And it starts with education.
Yeah, you just hit me pretty hard there.
Sorry.
We've experienced 2 suicides in the last 10 days. We have actually Saturday night and Sunday night at the Fledge is a memorial for our good friend Brad, and then a memorial for our good friend Becky. And now we got to talk a little bit about you got to call your friends, you got to check in on people, you got to reach out for help if you can. And thank you for sharing that, and thank you for just letting us say one more time, we're here and we love you, and that includes you too, Dr.
100%. I get these intuitive feelings as something that I've been given. And anytime you feel like, or someone pops into your mind, say something, text them. You have no idea what they are going through, and just one reach out and what it can mean. You have no idea, just one, hey, I'm thinking of you and I love you, or sharing a happy memory you have with them, how encouraging that helps them with that next breath. Letting them know how they impacted your life and how they invested into you, so that way they see value. You have no idea how exponential that is, and that it can just be that one last flicker of hope when someone is hopeless. You reach out, but on the reverse side, I did reach out to my pastor, to my husband, and letting him know where I was at and getting the help that was necessary, and being vulnerable enough to say I wasn't okay. And being vulnerable is very difficult. I was not raised to be vulnerable at all. I was raised to straighten your crown, keep it going. And for me, I hate when the people use the word, God never gives you more than you can handle. And I call BS. God gives you way more than you can handle. So that way you have to rely upon him and those he puts around you. And so don't think you have to do this alone. It's not in your own strength.
Thank you so very much for sharing that and saying that and coming on the show. And, the champ said, I'm glad you stayed here. I'm glad you stayed here. I'm glad you're promoting what you're promoting, the pharmacy, and all of this. So thank you so very much.
Yeah, and my kind of my last parting thing around neuropathy is pain in what you're in. My specialty is working with people with neuropathy, but you don't have to live with it. You could try everything. I'm telling you, there's still more. But you have to look at it in a different way. And it would be a privilege and an honor to just understand and listen to you and where your journey is at, and see what options you have, because I guarantee you, if it's not me, I'll give you other resources. So reach out, keep asking for help, because in that you will learn something else and be connected to somebody else, and you never know when the right answer comes for you.
Is that what you'd like to take us out with, or you want to take us out with something else?
No, I got the quote. People become really quite remarkable when they start thinking that they can do things. When they believe in themselves, they have the first secret of success. You have to believe in yourself at all costs, because you can only bet on yourself, and it's you. And bet on the gifts and abilities that you have been given, and build on those, and ask for help. Go to the Fledge, use your friends and resources, your church, whatever it is, because you never know the next door that's going to be open and the impact you will have on somebody else. Believe in yourself.
I barely want to say anything more, because that's perfect. Thank you so very, very much, Karen.
Jerry, it has been a pleasure. I am so humbled and blessed to have met you, and we'll get to keep knowing you in our group. But like I told you, I'm coming down to the Fledge. We're going to see other options and help, and see what we can do there too.
All right. Have a good day.
See everyone.